Let me begin by saying a few things. First, I am not a pedophile. I am married and have several children. It is for the safety of my friends, family, and most of all my children that I have concealed my voice and my identity. I am a computer security expert, and I have taken pains to ensure that my identity and the origin of this video is preserved absolutely. Next, let me point out how disturbed I am by the reaction to pedophilians and viewpoints on pedophilia video. Rather than confronting assumptions about an issue that you feel to be misguided, most people chose to respond with simple dogma, saying, well, duh, they're children, fucktard. And one even went so far as to threaten to sever his head. Way to go. You almost proved his point by being so ignorant of the issues that you simply cannot address it rationally, scientifically, or empirically, and instead must resort to dogmatic rants or threats of violence. I am not ignorant of the issue. I was, for lack of a better word, a willing victim. At the age of 10, I was taken in by a kindly man. My parents had shown me little but cowardice and malice during my first 10 years. I hated them. I hated the world, and I hated myself. This man showed me love, compassion, and selflessness. At 11, he also gently and willingly showed me the wonders of sex. We talked about safety, about diseases, and we talked about society and laws and what people believed and why. It was only after this, and carefully ensuring my willingness, that he proceeded. This man saved my life, showed me love, and set me on a course to a successful life. Even as I grew older, and he no longer found me attractive, he loved me like a son. He still held me in his arms when I needed his strength, and he gave me guidance and structure when I needed those as well. I went out on my own. I had a girlfriend in high school, and I didn't need his love and affection as much. It all felt very natural. Sure, my parents were there at my graduation, but my journey would not have felt complete without him at my side that day. I know there are many people hurt by these relationships, and for that I'm truly sorry. I do not speak out often on this topic because I do not support the full emancipation of minors, nor their being freely accessible to men who are attracted to them. However, I implore everyone to understand that there are two sides to every coin. Not all pedophiles are dangerous, disturbed, or depraved. Growing up, several of the most prominent figures in my life were outspoken pedophiles, and during the last 20 years, I have met several hundred. I know many of their young companions as well. We maintain friendships even across distance, and we talk openly in a way that we can't share with anyone else. Our stories have a vast range. I have spoken with a few who regarded their relationship as abusive and nothing more. They described coercion, shame, and betrayal of trust. They felt that they were never a partner in the relationship but merely an object. Many of these people have gone to the police and reported their relationship and find a lot of closure from that. I've spoken with others who regarded their relationship as merely a happening in the journey of life, akin to a summer away at camp or a trip overseas. They regarded it as neither exceptionally beneficial nor exceptionally harmful, but merely as a formative event. Some of these people have questioned what happened to them during the last couple of years as the dogmatic discussions on these topics grow more and more heated, especially in light of people receiving millions and millions of dollars from their abusers in years past. And these people have a lot of incentive to step forward. A lot of the ones that I know have not, because they don't regard it as a harmful aspect of their past. There are others who regard their past relationships, much as I do, as a profoundly positive experience. I strongly believe that during that time in my life, nothing short of that depth of love and expression could have brought me out of my childhood as well adjusted as I am today. I would like to point out that amongst the pedophiles I've met, the majority have never had sexual contact with a child. And those that had rarely had a multitude of victims. I should say never. and a multitude of victims, like the straw man that media seeks to portray, to garner ratings and incite fear in their viewers in order to sell more advertising. Keep in mind, I am a vocal advocate of protecting children, most especially from emotional and physical abuse, as research in fact shows that these are far more harmful to psychological adjustment than sexual abuse in almost all cases. The next passage is read verbatim from a scientific journal, a reputable scientific journal. It is peer-reviewed by experts in the field of psychology and statistics. It discusses the psychological effects of these various kinds of abuse. Begin quote. The finding that family environment was 10 times more important than sexual abuse in accounting for current adjustment in the college population is consistent with the results of several recent studies using subjects from non-college populations. In one study conducted by Economou and his colleagues published in 1993, the researchers categorized children and adolescents obtained from large representative community samples in a small-sized city in New York State into 6 groups. These groups are not abused, sexual abuse, physical abuse, neglect, sexual abuse and neglect together, and physical abuse and neglect together. They found that sexually abused children and adolescents performed as well in school as their non-abused controls in all areas measured, including standardized test scores, school performance, and behavior. Neglect and physical abuse, on the other hand, were associated with poor performance and more behavior problems. In another study conducted by Ney and his colleagues published in 1994, the researchers separated their mostly clinical sample of children and adolescents into categories of sexual abuse, physical neglect, verbal abuse, emotional neglect, and combinations of these. They found that the combination of abuse that correlated most strongly with adjustment problems was physical abuse combined with physical neglect and verbal abuse. In the top 10 worst combinations, verbal abuse appeared 7 times, physical neglect 6 times, physical abuse and emotional neglect 5 times each, whereas sexual abuse appeared only once near the bottom. These results jive well with the conclusion of that we presented before. Again, she studied 32 samples of college students across the U.S. chosen to be representative of the U.S. college population. She concluded that when taking other forms of abuse into account, sexual abuse was not related to adjustment problems. It was instead, she noted, maltreatment such as physical abuse that directly impacts on future adjustment. End quote. Another study, also published in 1999, cites similar statistics, drawing a conclusion from more than 20,000 statistical data points. They conclude, begin quote, for boys, sexual abuse accounted for only 1/2 of 1% of the adjustment variability, while for girls it accounted for only 1%. These small effect sizes are inconsistent with the assumption that sexual abuse produces pervasive or intense effects. End quote. Now you have the whole picture. You have the research, you have my story, and the stories of people I know. You also must balance the stories of those who are harmed by sexual abuse, because to deny those people is irrational as well. In fact, in the context of a verbally, emotionally, or physically abusive relationship, sexual abuse can often become the focal point of all of these traumas. So in that end, it seems to the victim that it was the sex alone that caused the pain, when in reality it was just a conduit that amplified all of the other negative feelings. In conclusion, there seems to me to be a preponderance of evidence that both sides of this argument are wrong. Sex with a child is not totally lacking in harmfulness. Even in a value-neutral society, I believe that pedophilia is mistaken in his viewpoint that child sex is totally without problems. However, on the other hand, it is also equally absurd to say that child sexuality is always abhorrent and wrong. Now, this flies in the face of social dogma. I'll probably cover a cascade of criticism for this video. But frankly, that's my experience. My experience was positive. To deny that is to deny me my own individual experience. I knew it was right. You may not believe it, but that's how it is.